our correspondent and secretary, Thiru S.T. Chandrasekhar sir, and our principal, Dr. S.K. Jayanti ma'am, who is behind us in all our victories. I welcome our IQSC coordinator, Dr. L.M. Swarnalatha ma'am, Assistant Professor of English, who is backbone of this 7-day international workshop on reinforcement of quality education. It's my great pleasure to welcome our IQSC team and all the heads and staff members of our college and from various colleges. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our chief guest of this day, Mr. Jayakumar Durai, collaboration engineer, eBay, California, who cheerfully accepted our invitation. He is a native of Tanjore. He has worked in TCS Chennai and TCS USA from 2007 to 2019. At present, he is working at eBay, California as collaboration engineer. His specialization areas of work are expertise in Microsoft Teams, Slack, Zoom, Skype for Business, Microsoft Exchange, Office 365, G Suite, Citrix, Zinap, VMware, FTP, AWS, Azure, and System Center products. We have such an eminent person today with us who is going to present us the topic transition of students to IT engineer. On behalf of management, principal, and IQC team, we wholehearted welcome you, sir. Once again, I welcome one and all present here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, that was a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So, yeah, can I start my presentation?
Yes, sir, you can go ahead. Yes.
Let me share my screen. Okay, I think everyone can see my screen. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining the call today. I know this is a Saturday and everyone will be mostly looking forward for a weekend, and this 1 hour you have dedicated to me, and I'm so thankful for that. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is a transition of a student to an IT engineer. The intended audience for this session is all the students who wants to have a or who wants to start and have a successful career in IT, and also for the teachers who can really help the students towards this goal. The reason why I chose this topic, particularly this topic, is because when I started my career, or when I completed my studies and I was looking to start a career, I didn't get any guidance because I was from a remote city, from a remote town. So there I didn't get much guidance on where should I go ahead or what kind of areas I should be exploring. But nowadays the students are so bright, they don't need any advice, but still I thought if I take this topic and explain it to the students, there would be at least some set of people who would really look forward to it and I can help them. That is the main reason why I chose this topic. So a little bit of introduction about me. I'm from Tanjore. I completed my bachelor's in mathematics. And once I completed mathematics, I was simply going and searching for jobs. I was attending every interview that I saw in paper or advertisements, or even my friend recommends me any interview, I'll just go ahead and attend it. I didn't have any guidance. I should be attending to BPO, small KPOs, everything. And at last, so lucky, I ended up with a job in TCS, and there I started my career. I'm from a mathematics stream, so I didn't know much about the computers when I joined IT. Believe it or not, I didn't even know how to create an email address when I joined IT. But I got the job, through my confidence and the way I presented. So here I have a few slides for you guys, so I can go over them. I can explain what the real skill sets that the current IT industry is looking for and how you can get prepared for it and what are all the courses you can take, how to ace the interview. And once you get a job, once you get a job, there the story doesn't end there. You still have to keep growing as an engineer. Being an IT engineer is a lifelong process. You have to keep learning throughout the life. So growing as an engineer is an important thing. And also being an IT engineer has its own side effects. I'll speak about that as well today. So it's going to be around a 30 to 35 minutes conversation. And once that is ended, we can have a Q&A session. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So in 2015, almost all the top IT companies started to reform their resources, their workplace, their workforce, their IT resources, the person who are all working under them. They wanted to transform them into a newer way of digital technologies. And they named it as Business 4.0. This is mainly driven by TCS, but almost all the top IT companies like Accenture, Wipro, HCL, Cognizant, everyone is driving towards these technologies. They are no longer just simply work with the regular computers, servers, or anything like that. They try to implement these top technologies into it. There are a lot of new digital engineering technologies. I have listed only the top 5. These are my top 5. So others may have their own opinion, but in today's session, we will speak about only these 5. Most of us would have heard about the artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is nothing but developing the computer to perform the task that normally human beings will do. Say, for example, 20 years back, VIPs will have their own personal assistant. They will be making notes of everyday schedule of their boss. He will be scheduling each and every task that his boss has to do, or his own personal notes. Everything will be done by the personal secretary. But today, the Google Assistant is doing that. We can simply start the Google Assistant in Android phone. We can tell all our schedule today, and it can make a note of it, and it can do all the work for us. Likewise, the iPhone has Siri, and even if you want to speak to some customer care, 5 to 6 years back, we will call the number, we'll get connected to the real human being directly. We will tell our concerns, get that resolved. But nowadays, it is not like that. We call them, it goes to a chat bot, and the chat bot receives all our queries and sees what the problem is. And if it can resolve our issue, it is resolving it directly. In case if it requires a human being, then it sends the work to the real human being. So earlier, 100 people used to work in a customer care. Right now, it has been reduced drastically. I would say at least 20 to 25 people are working, and rest of the work are being done with chatbots, which is powered by artificial intelligence. The next one is the Internet of Things. This is nothing but the internet-enabled devices are connected to each other and doing work for us. For example, the Amazon Alexa or the Google Home and thermostat. Thermostat is very common here in US. So these devices, what really does is gets connected. The Google Home, you can connect it with your phone, and you can also connect it with your TV. If it is a smart TV, it can be connected to it. So you just give some voice commands to your Google Home. It turns on the TV and puts put whatever show that you want to see. And even if you want to record any show, it can do that as well. So Google Home is already internet connected. Your phone is internet connected, and you can speak to Google Home and ask him to make a call to some person, and it can do it. It can talk to your phone directly, and it can make a call from your cell phone. So like this, the devices are connected and it works for you. This is called Internet of Things. The next one is machine learning. So machine learning is nothing but the computers analyze the data and make predictions out of it. We give as much as data we have to the machine learning, and it makes the predictions and it gives the suggestions to us. Even for this COVID-19, a lot of countries and companies provide 1 month or 2 month data into machine learning, and it gives us a prediction. Okay, you have 1 month data here, and based on this data, your COVID cases are going to rise by October or November, and then it will go down. So all these kind of things are being done by machine learning. Data science is similar to machine learning. Instead, data scientists, real human beings, analyze the data using the software tools and the code they write it on their own. They basically store the historical data in one single place, analyze it, and give a useful reports to the executives, to the business owners. Say, for example, last year in October or November, people want it was rainy here. People wanted some. Say, for example, people wanted umbrellas, or people wanted more energy supply. These data are in the data science, and the next year in the same October and November, it will give us suggestions. Okay, this October and November, the people are going to need more umbrellas or more energy or more food items, so start preparing it. So based on this data, the business team, what they will do, they will take the input and they will start the production and implement it. This is how the data science works. And data scientists are #1 paid job as of now. The fifth one is cloud computing. This is my favorite, and this is where I am working on it. So basically, any organization or hospitals or any organization, basically, they have their own servers, networks, everything connected in their own building. And now everything is moving to Microsoft, Amazon, or Google. These three are the top cloud providers. And there are other cloud providers as well. IBM has their own, Rackspace has their own. So basically, they own our servers. We just migrate all the data to them, and they build the servers and they manage it for us. Or we can have cloud engineers from our side, but the servers will be residing in Amazon data center or Microsoft data center or Google Cloud data center, and they will take care of all the infrastructure. They will restart your server, they will patch your server, they will maintain all your network and everything. All you need is just one engineer who really knows about the cloud computing and managing everything. So these are all the 5 top technologies or new IT skills that almost all the IT companies are looking for after 2015. Earlier, when I joined TCS, they started teaching me the basics of computer, operating system basics, and some coding. But nowadays, they are eager to see people who are already skilled in these areas. Other than this, there are other areas as well, like robotics, autonomous vehicles, microservices, deep learning. There are a lot of digital technologies in Business 4.0, but these are my top 5. And if at all you want to become a pure developer, you can learn these top 10 software languages. Java is still in the top, and Python was introduced just 10 years back, and it is one of the most important languages. C++ still has its own place, and resources from this background is still required and in the top 10. SQL is nothing but structured query language, basically querying the databases. You might have learned in your academics. And Swift, Ruby, PowerShell, JavaScript, PHP, Perl. These are all the basic scripting languages. I hope we have audience from both the sides, maybe computer people who has already the computer background or studying computer science, and also people who are non-computer background, like mathematics, physics, or anything like that. That is what I assume. But if at all you want to have an IT career, at least you should be knowing what these things are. You should have at least basic understanding of these top 5 technologies. Let me go to the next slide. Okay. Now we saw what all the technologies required, what IT companies are required. When you go and attend an interview, instead of saying that these are all the projects I have completed in my academics, these are all the things I have studied, if you say that you have interest in artificial intelligence and you have gone through these many courses, or you have interest in cloud computing, you have completed certain courses, then that gives difference in your profile. They will have hundreds and hundreds of profile in their side, and these kind of resumes will be picked separately and analyzed. So please have some basic understanding on these technologies. So where can you learn these technologies? That obviously internet has lots and lots of data about this. And these are all the areas. These are all the these are all the places where you can learn. So Khan Academy is completely free. Most of the courses are free. It has its own lab sessions. You can learn artificial intelligence, deep learning, everything here. Likewise, EDX is the place where I go. It is mainly for the cloud technologies. If I want to learn about Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, I go here and learn it. Coursera, it has a lot of courses about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and it's completely free. And if at all you are a little bit bored, you want to see some videos and you want to learn things, then Udemy and lynda.com will serve the purpose. But these two are paid subscriptions, but not much, I would say. You can have your friends, 4 to 5 friends, join together, create one subscription, and you can share it. That is what we do with Netflix and Hotstar, right? So you can do the same here. Code Academy, W3 Schools is the place where I learned coding. I learned Python from W3 Schools. This is one interesting website where I whatever coding language I want to know or I want to refer, I'll go to the W3 Schools. And Microsoft Learn, recently, at least 2 years back, they started their own learning path. If you go Microsoft Learn, search for cloud technologies, you will see that you want to learn any coding languages, you will see courses for that. Everything is free in Microsoft Learn. At least if you know all these places and where to go and search, that would be great. Okay. So we saw what all the technologies required, where we can go and stay. I would recommend start this process parallelly, maybe in your second year. Start learning these areas, these technologies, and see what is happening. Subscribe to the YouTube channels. Almost all these companies, all these areas have their own YouTube channels. Subscribe to it and see those videos on a daily basis. Initially, it might be very tough for you to understand. If you have IT friends, it's great. You can ask them; they will explain it clearly for you. Or else you can simply Google and search yourself. When you search yourself, you will learn 50 more things. When you ask someone, you will learn just one thing. This is one key. Always try to learn yourself. Okay, now let's see about the interview process. Always the very first thing is your proper outfit. Always be professional and have a clear resume, no grammatical mistakes. And your email address should be very professional. Don't give an email address like I'm a superstar at gmail.com or something like that. People don't like it. So always create a professional email address and put it. And as most of the colleges, they train you an aptitude test. If at all you want to learn more of a company-specific aptitude test, everything is available in internet. For example, TCS has their own aptitude test questionnaires available. If you complete 10 to 12 question papers, definitely this can be cracked. If you are not able to crack this aptitude test, don't feel bad about yourself. Okay, so when I was searching job, I attended 4 to 5 interviews. I failed in 4 to 5 aptitude tests, and I just came back. But in TCS, I was able to clear it. So that is one thing you need to keep in mind. Failing an aptitude test is not something you have to shy about. But now, when I was doing this, when I was searching for the job, the internet was not so easily available. I have to go to the net center, sit and everything. I didn't have facilities on that time, so that is why I was struggling with this aptitude test pass. But everything is in your cell phone. Your question papers definitely. And aptitude questions can be a little bit different. The computer science background guys may get more computer related questions, whereas the non-computer science background people, they will get very limited number of computer related questions. I'm from mathematics stream. I didn't know about computers. I passed the aptitude test. So you can understand how it works. Then next thing is, once you completed the aptitude test, definitely you're going to sit in the group discussion. There will be at least 10 to 12 people in that group. It will be chosen by the organizer. And whoever starts the discussion, who raises their hand and starts the discussion and gives the first comment clear, strong, and perfect, definitely gets passed and going to the next level. So always try to be the first person. If you're not being able to be the first person, doesn't matter, but you can still give your valuable points, and still you will be selected. They won't come to the group discussion with the mindset like, okay, out of these 12 people, I have to pick the top 3. It is not like that. It is not the deciding round. They will try to, if all the 12 people perform well, all the 12 people will be selected to the next round. And they will be giving a common topic here. They will ask you to speak either supporting the topic or opposing the topic. If you have an English background, basically you completed all your studies in English medium, you definitely would be able to speak in a good English and make your statements smaller and clearer. If you're not from English medium, you have a Tamil medium background or Malayalam or Telugu medium, don't afraid about it. Try to understand what is the topic and always prepare 20 to 30 general sentences that can suit with any topic. Say, for example, they give a topic like speak about the fans club. Do you agree to it or do you oppose it? You always can have 20 general sentences that can support or oppose fans club, or whatever the topic it can be. You can always create, or you can always suit the general sentences there. I like the fans club because this is good for society, right? Likewise. So these things you have to prepare very well. For the non-English medium students, you have to prepare these things very well. Your statements can be very smaller. You don't worry about it. The only thing is it has to be clear and grammatically almost clear and correct. If at all there are 1 or 2 grammatical mistakes, it won't be considered unless your opinions are clearly communicated. And this is kind of a deciding round in the sense, this is where they will really see how confident you are, how good you are in the language, or how clear you are able to communicate your thoughts. So those 20 to 30 statements or sentences are going to give you a good breakthrough, I would say. The next would be obviously technical round, where a lot of technical questions will be asked based on what you have written in your resume. So whatever in your resume, please learn thoroughly and then put it in resume. Don't simply put, you want to fill the resume, don't put all the technologies. They will start asking deeper and deeper questions in everything, and they will make you back. So whatever that you have learned, or for example, you put artificial intelligence in your resume, and they are starting questions on that. You learn only the basics. Just tell them, okay, I know only the basics in the artificial intelligence. I have done these courses, and this is where the round you have to explain them how much effort you have taken to learn these top digital skills. You take your time, explain them. Okay, I have learned artificial intelligence, cloud computing. I went to Khan Academy. I completed these many courses like that. And once you clear the technical round, then there would be a management round. Basically, this is a complete analysis round. They will check your attitude and your flexibility, and they are analyzing what you have performed in your group discussion and in technical round. They are validating whether you really performed or you somehow faked it. So management round, you always have to be clear on what they are asking, and then you have to answer. If you are from non-English medium background, you can improve the skill by watching to a lot of English conversations. Like you can watch English channels where the anchors will speak with the celebrities, those kind of thing. I learned English basically watching those kind of conversation meetings, and that is how I learned. I learned and I started speaking English. And the final round would be HR round. I have seen several people doing a lot of mistakes in the HR round and coming out of it. Mostly the HR round will have tricky questions. They will see how much you want this job. They have their own set of questions to analyze this based on their experience. They will ask you like, what if I don't give you the job? If you tell them, if in case if you are replying them, like if you don't give me the job, I'll look for a job in another company, then definitely you are out. And what if you don't get a job? Yeah, you don't give me a job, I'm going for my further studies, I'm going to do my MBA, definitely you're going to be out. Basically what HR is looking for is how much you are eager to join the company. You can show the eagerness by expressing the knowledge that you have gained about the company. For example, you are going to a thesis interview, you should be knowing about the end-to-end TCS history. If you get a chance, you should explain that. I did that in my interview. I explained, okay, Tata is one of the most prestigious guy in India. He represents India, so I want to be part of the company. This is how I, started them, and I made them that I'm really looking forward for a job in TCS. In my same batch, there was a girl who said, "Okay, if you are not giving a job, I'm going to do my MBA." That's it. That one answer is enough. Even the organizer tried as much as they could, but the HR simply told, "Okay, she has the second opinion, or she has a second option. Let her go with that." We always want the TCS to be their first opinion. Any company, any HR will always look forward for the candidates who consider the company as their first option and the last option. If you get these kind of tricky questions, your answer should be, okay, if I don't get the job today, I'm going to learn what I have missed. I'm going to understand my gaps, and I'll come back for the same interview. I'll secure a place in TCS or whatever company you're going to. This is kind of the answer they will look forward. And you should have a positive attitude, and whatever say for example they want you to work in a shifts, say yes. They will say, if what if I put you in north India or in East India somewhere, you say yes. Everything can be changed once you join the job, but not before the job. In HR, say yes for everything, and later you can change everything. There are several people out who are really dying and trying to get these kind of jobs. So if at all you are in a HR round, which means you're already selected, now your mouth is playing the game. Be sensible there and secure the job. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, once you get the job, the process doesn't end there. This is how the important phase comes in. You have to keep growing. As I said earlier, this is a lifelong process. You have to keep growing till the end of your career. I'll go through these items really quick. So when you join the team, try to create a rapport with your team. Behave equally to everyone, be it a junior, be a 2 years experienced guy, be a 5 years experienced guy. You never know who has what skill set or who is going to teach you. So always behave properly to everyone. And for example, after 4 or 5 years, you become an experienced guy. Be ready to teach your juniors. Understand them and ready to teach them. At least 8 to 10 hours you're going to spend in your office. So it's like a half of your life. So don't mess it up. Don't have any argument with your team leads or manager. No fights, nothing. If at all you have difference in opinion, try to convey it softly. If they understand it, that's good for you and good for him. If they don't understand it, yeah, let's do the thing. whatever your manager or TL wants it, do it, and they continue to force you, then the obvious answer is, if you can survive there, do that, or else look for a different job. This is how you have to go. Instead, if you try to argue or try to take a different route, then your life will be hell. Then it will affect your personal life as well. I have seen several people doing that mistake, so just wanted to explain that more. And studying 2 hours a day, it's mandatory. The studies doesn't end at your college level. You have to keep on learning every new thing as an IT engineer if you want to be in the top 20% of IT engineers and keep surviving in IT. If you don't study, at some point of time, whatever technologies you have learned is going to get outdated, and companies will start thinking about you, whether to keep you or not. So you don't want that to happen. It lies in your effort. Just 1 or 2 hours a day would do the trick. And whatever task they give, whatever projects they give, take ownership. Working on a task is different from taking ownership on a task. Taking ownership is like, okay, this is my business. Say, for example, you have a small shop in your home, and you want to make a business. Will you give your all effort to make the business grow, or you'll just say, okay, I'm going to work 6 hours a day and then I'm going to shut down the door? No, it is not like that. You open the door, maximize the productivity, and try to increase the business life. That is what the ownership means. End to end is your control. You have to control it, and you should be knowing that. That is what the attitude the IT managers or your TLs are going to look for. And if you have this ownership thing, then definitely your career is going to be bright. You fail, you succeed, that doesn't matter. Ownership is really important. Utilize every opportunity. If you get an on-site opportunity, utilize it. Things being done in India is entirely different. Is entirely differently done at the global level. Be in US or UK, people work in a different level and in a different sense. They have various ideas. They implement the international standard in their work. I have personally seen the difference. So utilize the opportunity. Don't say no if you get an on-site opportunity. Even if you don't get an on-site opportunity, try to communicate with your on-site counterpart and learn how things are being done. And I would say at least work in one company for at least 2 years minimum. Don't try to jump real quick. 2 years is a good amount of time. And if at all you are staying in the same position, try to ask for a newer position where you can learn newer things or newer technologies, and always work on your self growth. And that is one magic word called appraisal. That is that is a magic word for whoever gets a good rating, and that is a hell word for whoever gets a bad rating. So don't look for appraisals. Always look for your self growth, how much you learned in that particular year. You might have given your 100% or more than 100% in that particular year, but still you may get a bad rating on that year. There could be several reasons behind it. And if you keep on focusing on the appraisal process, then you will lose focus on your personal growth, your career, your technology interest. So keep appraisal as a secondary, or even sometimes don't even bring that into the picture. Always work for your own knowledge. And office politics, yeah, it is everywhere, not just in IT industry, it is everywhere. But in IT, it is a lot, because here the salary hike is based on the performance and the appraisals, and you will see a lot of politics. Always try to stay away from it. There will be two groups in your project trying to drag you into one group. Don't do that. Always try to be neutral. You don't know when things change. A ruling party cannot be a ruling party for lifelong. Always keep your work and friendship different. People in IT industry, they will say, oh, you should not have any friends in office. But my opinion is you have to know how to keep a work and friendship different. You can be friend with your counterpart, with your colleague, but when it comes as a work, when a work comes in, you both have to change into a professional. You have to deal at the work in a professional way. And when you go for a coffee break or tea break, you should forget about the work and be a good friend. That is how you build a good network, a good friendship network in an office environment. Don't fight with anyone. That is very silly. And always keep your personal as personal. Never reveal your secrets, your sad stories, your commitments to your friends, TL, or anyone. There are some times, bad times, your bad luck. They will play with that as well. That will hurt you a lot. Say yes to anything new. People will say, learn to say no, but I would say yes to anything new. If there are some new tasks coming, even if it is silly, even if it looks silly in others' eyes, there will be definitely something for you to learn in there. When I was when I was in the third year of my career, my manager gave me a whole bunch of reports that should be run in Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint. You might have seen lots and lots of memes in Facebook about running the reports in Excel and PowerPoint. But believe me, there are lots and lots of things that needs to be learned in Excel and PowerPoint as well. And that helped me in the rest of 8 to 9 years. Whenever they wanted to create a report, my report stood out when others who were teased me on that time frame for doing the Excel reports, they were not able to make a report like me. So it kept me in a different level always. So if there is anything new, always saying yes. Don't stay in one position, doing the same thing for 3 years. 3 years is the maximum period. Don't stay in one position for more than 3 years. If you are asked for a new position or asked for new areas of work, if they don't give it, silently resign and try to look for a new job. And another important thing is always validate your skill set. See if you are up to the mark in the market. Try attending interviews with other companies once in every year and see where you stand. And there are definitely side effects of being an IT engineer. The first one is health. All these 20 years, we were very active. We used to go schools, colleges. We don't sit in AC halls for a long time. We used to be active. We walk a lot. But all of a sudden, you get a job, you go and sit in an AC room and sit and do your work for 8 to 10 hours. You are going to gain a lot of weight. You're going to have stress, depression, a lot and lots of things. So maintain your health, have a good walk or jogging, whatever excites you physically, do that and stay healthy. Treat everyone equal in your company, in your in your project, or everyone. There is no one like above you or below you. Even your TL or project leader, they are managing the project, not you. Don't consider them like, okay, I have to be, keep silent in front of my manager, then only I'll get rating or appraisal. No, it is not working like that. You have to show your skill set by working on the technologies, and they will give the respect to the amount of talent that you have. That will obviously happen. Don't take any external pressure for the first 3 to 4 years. Don't take any home loans or don't fall into a bigger commitment. Always try to keep a minimum commitment for the first 3 to 4 years. The reason why I'm saying is the first 4 or 5 years is the time where you can quickly learn, where you'll get a lot of opportunities to learn, explore things, take risk, anything. Companies will not lay you off. The first 5 years is the time where the companies will make a lot of profit out of you, and that is the period you have to utilize and do a lot of experiments in your work. Definitely not in production. If you have a development environment, you can do a lot of experiments, learn everything. And if you don't have an external commitment like personal loans or home loans, then that gives you confidence. Okay, I don't have anything to worry about. Even if this job goes out, I have still 2 or 3 months to find another job. So that is why I'm saying, as soon as you get a job, if you have some personal education loans or debts, try to pay that, and once that is done, try to create a good bank balance, at least 4 to 5 lakhs in your bank balance within 2 to 3 years, definitely you can do it. You can do night shifts, whatever it takes, and you can do it. And if you have that bank balance in your side, that gives you an extra energy, extra boldness in your work. Always try to create a passive income. Like you have extra talents, like you can do a handicrafts, or you have videography ideas, and you go on Saturday Sunday, you take videographs in marriages and all. You have the talent, please continue it. You have talent in YouTube's or any sort of thing. Always keep that passive income flowing. If at all you don't have anything, or if you think that you don't have any of these things, try to build a house at your money, at your own earned money, and leave it for rent and earn it, or buy and sell things in eBay, Amazon. You can make your own things and sell there for a good price. These are all the things that you can do and have a good passive income. And at last, it says work-life balance. I would say it's a life-work balance. Always life is important. Don't put your work in the first place. Always keep your life in the first place. I've seen 10 to 12 years people working hard for a company, and one fine day they fall sick. The company doesn't even care about it. They may give some compensation like 1 or 2 lakhs for 1 or 2 months, and that's it. They will simply terminate you, and they will replace you with a new person. They can quickly do it. So never compromise your life forward. Always keep your life and work very well balanced. If at all it's your after hours and some work is coming, if that is something new you want to learn and you have time to do it, tell them clearly, okay, I have time now, so I'm doing it. Tomorrow, if I don't have time and I come up with a similar job, I may not be able to do it. This kind of clear communication should be there with you, between you and your manager or TL, whoever gives it. So here ends my session. If you have any questions, you can definitely ask me now.
Mr. Jayakumar Durai,
Yeah,
I'm Dr. Swarnalata,
yeah,
and really it is a very wonderful session. Each and every word has to be considered, not only for
exactly.
engineer. We can remove that word engineer and we can have it as a work.
Yes, correct. It
Yeah,
almost it applies
it is
to
not
everything.
applicable for only for the engineers, those who are working. Thank you for this wonderful session. I'm coming to your scenario now. Due to the COVID pandemic, what is the scenario is going on in California? Because
Yeah,
we are all in panic because always Trump is giving H1B visa is going to be cancelled and all those things. We know what is happening there. It is out of question from this. We wanted to know really what is the reality there.
yeah. The reality is almost what you see in YouTube channels.
Okay.
The second wave has started. The count is increasing now. It is drastically increasing, and I would say the president didn't foresee the problem. He was a little bit lethargic at the initial phases, and that is how the virus came in. Even after the virus came in, he thought this virus will die by the summer. The summer is April, May, June, July. The temperature will not even like 30 or 31 degrees. In India, we used to have 40, 41 very simply in our summer, right? But here the summer would be 30 or 35 degrees max, but he miscalculated this virus is going to go away during the summer, but it didn't happen. It multiplied exponentially. Lot of people are affected. All the business were closed for about 2 to 3 months, and in this month starting, they started to open the businesses. Like they started the grocery shops were open for all the time, but with the limited working hours. The the dress shops, malls, restaurants, they are opening all these areas for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and the virus count is increasing again. This is what happening, and lots of business are affected. If you ask how IT industry is affected, yes, definitely 25% of IT industry is affected. Entertainment, travel, tourism, retail, these are all the areas. So any company that provided support to these are all these areas were severely affected. Lots and lots of airlines industries have closed their flights. No flight is um, being operated as normal, and people who are working for those companies and who are working as a contractor for those companies from Indian IT companies have lost their jobs, or at least they have been sent temporarily out of the job, and they are sitting in the pool. But this will change very soon. This virus will go away. Everything has a end. So this will change soon. As soon as change, the business will pick up, and whoever lost the job will get the job again. And people like the college goers, the graduates, will start getting new interviews from these top IT companies. And whoever got their offer letters and been put on hold, they will also start getting calls from the companies again. Definitely, this will happen because the business is going to come up again, but we don't know when. But my anticipation is within 3 to 4 months, the US market will be back up and running.
Thank you, Jay Kumar. It is not only applicable for US. I think that this is applicable for the whole world because the whole world is in the same scenario. And there is a question for you in the chat box. Mercy Lydia had asked you a question. Could you tell me which the right data science course for the beginners and what is the platform which offers?
So I'm not from the data science. If you ask question about the cloud computing, I can explain it. But if you go and research about the data science in Coursera, you can see what are all the tools they are using and what are all the languages that you have to learn. Even in cloud computing also, Amazon and Microsoft are offering data science tools. There are two ways. You can use the existing tools available for the data science, or you can use the methodology, or you can use your own software languages, create your own data science tools.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering my question. Can I have one more question, please?
Sure.
Yeah. Regarding this cloud computing, you have been telling, no, and you are especially specialized in that field, right? Yeah. In Amazon, Amazon, Flipkart, like things, they are using this analytics, no? See, the one who has bought this has bought
Yes.
this also. So, could you please explain what is it? And I'm basically from library science field, right?
Okay.
So, if you could explain it, see, which means I'm buying some hair dryer or something else. Okay, so people bought this also has bought this.
Yes.
So this is the thing. Will it? How can I take this to books? Okay, the people who read this also has read this, and which is what I need to study, what which course I need to learn to know more about this. Thank you.
Okay. So normally when we use our cell phones or computers, you open a Chrome browser or whatever browser, we try to search for things that we want to buy. Those data, whatever you searched are saved as cookies or temporary files in your browser. What these Amazon or Google or Facebook, what they do, they sell this data. They sell this data to Facebook sells this data to Amazon, to eBay, and to Google, and they analyze this data using the data science. They keep this data and use the data science tool. There are a lot of tools under the data science, and using that data, okay, this person is located in this area. He has searched about this product in this area. So I have to go and find a similar product in Amazon or eBay and start giving him advertisements. So next time you open Facebook, you will see the similar, whatever product that you searched for will start appearing as a advertisement in your wall. This is happening due to the machine learning and data science. They are basically stealing your data and analyzing it and giving you a suitable advertisements where you can buy, where it is easy, like that. When coming to your question, you want to see how many people has studied what books and within what time period. Yes, everything can be done by data science. You have a register, right? So who are all the students, what books they have taken, what is the time period, is that a semester time period or non-semester? Based on that, if you compile that data and use it in the data science tools, then it can analyze it and give you what all the books you need to buy for the next 3 months or for the next 1 year. These predictions are always 90 to 95% correct as of now, but it can be more accurate in future. The tools are still getting developed by the developers using the data science technologies, and this is going to get more accurate in future. And if you open the cloud computing area, Amazon, Microsoft Azure has their own data science tool, machine learning tools, everything is available there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your.
Can you name any one data science tool if you are aware of?
No, I can research on that part and I can send you the information. I can, because data science, everything's a huge topic. I didn't really get much time to explore the tool level. So if you can give me your email address or something, I can explore it and give you the details. But if you have any questions related to cloud computing, that is my area. I can explain it right away.
Thank you, sir, for your answers. And see the chat box. Jayakumar, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Please see the chat box. It is full of compliments for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And
yeah, I really look
shall
forward.
we?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Shall we wind up?
Yeah, I want to thank the Vellalar College for this wonderful opportunity. After a long time, I get a chance to meet young students and express my feelings. And I take this 1 hour as a valuable time in my life. I got a precious time to guide them. And I sincerely thank the IQAC team, the lead, and Meghla, ma'am, Swarlanatha ma'am, and the correspondent principal, and the whole team. Thank you so much. I thank wholeheartedly.
Okay. Jayakumar, just stay for a few minutes. And Jayakumar?
Yes.
Jayakumar, just stay for a few minutes.
Sure.
Lara,
Ma'am.
please propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am?
Go ahead.
Good morning, all. It's my immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on behalf of IQAC Vellalar College for Women. I express my boundless gratitude to our management and principal for supporting us to conduct such a wonderful workshop. I wholeheartedly thank our chief guest, Mr. Jayakumar Durai, for his very interesting and thought-provoking session. Thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation and making this session interesting and meaningful. A special thanks to Dr. Swarnalatha ma'am, coordinator of IQAC, for her efforts and concern. I thank all heads of the department and staff members of our college and from various colleges in and around Tamil Nadu. I thank Ms. V. Meghla, project staff of Paramosh scheme, DBMS assistant, Vellalar College for Women, for showing keen interest and support to conduct this workshop. Once again, I thank all of you. Thank you.
Meghla, wind up பண்ணலாமாடா செஷனை? ஓகே. சார் ஒன்னும் லைன்ல இருப்பாங்களாட்டு இருக்கு, ஜெயக்குமார் சார்.
நான் இங்க இருக்கேன்.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.